Okay, I just started the recording so I could post it for other people later. So I don't know if that caused
Great.
a delay.
Yeah, it did.
So Chatterbox is something that was sort of demoed at Dreamforce last year, and honestly, I don't have any feedback on it. I haven't heard much about it since Dreamforce. As MVPs, we don't have a lot of public insight to the roadmap. We're customers just like everyone else. I don't know if any of the other MVPs have it, but if you want to, my recommendation, if you want to get an answer from Salesforce, is reach out to either your account executive or your customer success manager. They will have direct access to the product teams. As MVPs, there's no safe harbor slide here. There probably should be, or safe harbor, as Steve would say. So, I can't speak much to the feature stuff there. Do any of you guys have you guys heard anything about it?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything, and from past experience, when we have gotten preview information, we've got to sign NDAs and stuff like that. So, honestly, I haven't heard anything about it, and I think if any of the other MVPs had, it probably we would have had to say, like, all right, we agree not to talk about what we saw.
Right.
Right. I was just wondering if anyone had done the pilot, because the roadmap was that there was going to be a pilot around this time. So it sounds like no one that we know is on the pilot, so that in and of itself is helpful information.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, just to let you know, I've posted the fact page. Missy, you've probably seen this one before, but Salesforce has a fact page up for the Chatterbox. And you're right, they state that it's supposed to go into pilot first half of 2013, rolling out through 2013. I haven't heard a thing. So hopefully, I know myself, I look at this page just to see if anything's updated, but
yes, got
it hasn't updated for a while. So
thank you.
Yeah, not a problem, Missy.
Cool. So the next question is around state pick list and country pick list. And I know that my friend and coworker, Matt Lamb, has done a lot of work on the country pick list. And there's actually a blog that he posted that I'm trying to find right now on
yeah.
your system.
I have that, and I can post it in chat. So I read that, and I tried to post a response that said, hey, this looks really complicated. Is there any chance this is going to get easier when it goes to GA? And when is it going to go GA? Those are my questions.
Yeah, I thought it was already GA.
It could be.
I think summer 13 it goes GA, actually, does it not?
Yeah, it's in spring it's beta, and it is quite complex to set up through the metadata API, but in summer it looks like they've addressed that with a UI.
Yeah.
Awesome.
As well as still going to be something that even after it goes GA, you still have to make a choice as an admin to enable it, just because Salesforce doesn't want to break anything you've already done by modifying, whether it's validation or custom objects that you're validating against or anything like that, that you've already put in workarounds for things like state or country, or you've put in your own validation, or the fact that some companies are actually global and don't work only in Canada and the United States, and so how are you then dealing with states outside of North America? So it's one of those things, they're going to make it so you have to put in the conscious effort to enable it. There's going to be a bunch of gating steps that you have to say, yes, I agree, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And then if you blow up your org, they're going to say, yeah, but it was your fault, we warned you. So personally, I'm waiting until it's a little more baked, just because we are a global company. And some things that if you're dealing with problems around standardizing and normalizing your state and country data, and you hope PickList will make it easier on you. If you're only in North America, it looks like it'll be a pretty good option. If you're global and you have to consider states outside of North America, there's either not that complicated of a custom app you can build out on your own if you've got an Apex developer. Otherwise, there's an app out on the marketplace called Address Tools by a company called ProvenWorks. And we're neck deep in our pilot and evaluation with them internally before we roll it live to everyone. But it's been working out fantastic when you have things like I have integrations that I can't control. That one integration passes me the ISO 2 code, but I have another integration that passes me the spelled out name, and I have another integration that doesn't even use a standard, and I need to normalize all those data to a standard. If you have that type of problem, Address Tools would definitely be worth a look.
Great. And
yeah, I can second that one as well. I've used both the paid and the free version of Address Tools. Wonderful application.
Awesome. And since I work mainly with nonprofits and I'm not an Apex developer, coder, all that stuff, when I read Matt's article, I was a little overwhelmed because it went into Workbench and some HTML stuff, which is beyond my skill set. So it sounds like when it's GA, it will be more of a UI clicks not code thing, if I'm understanding you correctly.
Yes. And
yeah.
It looks like it will be in Summer 13 and similar release notes, so check those out.
Awesome.
Yeah, there is some comment in the release notes, I'm just pasting in now, where there will be a wizard that will make it a bit easier to get to grips with it.
Awesome, thank you.
Hey, no problem. So your last question, Missy, keeping in line with you, is how can I remove the homepage component for unresolved items? I see this in one org but not the other. Is it because I have Salesforce for Outlook? So I'll let Jason take that.
Yeah, it's sort of because you're using Salesforce for Outlook. Technically speaking, it's because you've enabled email to Salesforce, which is required to be enabled when you're using the new Outlook plugin. The beauty of email to Salesforce, in my opinion, is you don't have to be using Outlook. You could be using your iPhone, your iPad, Apple Mail. Anything where you're not able to use a plugin, you can still log emails into Salesforce. So that's the underlying functionality that enables that. And if you're using email to Salesforce in any capacity, either through the Outlook plugin or by using the BCC from any other email client, I would actually argue you probably don't want to disable it. So one, to answer the question, no, I don't think you can. There's a couple ideas out there that people have submitted. I would like the option to be able to hide it. In my opinion, if you're using email to Salesforce and you're logging emails through that method, the only reconciliation email to Salesforce can do is to find an exact email address match. And you can run into some trouble, and I ran into this all the time when I was a sales rep, where we had like jason.piquet at DocuSign as the contact record, but people have alternate email addresses through their email servers, and maybe they're sending me emails and the reply to address is jpiquet at DocuSign.com. So you try to reply to that address, it's not going to reconcile to anything. So if you don't reference that unresolved items list, people are going to start wondering, well, I sent that email, why doesn't it appear in activity history? So being able to stay on top of your unresolved items allows you to make sure emails that couldn't reconcile to a contact get where they need to go.
Right. The issue in this instance is that we're launching to 40 users in June, and right now we're only doing a Salesforce for Outlook test with like 5 users, and so it's confusing to the other 35 users that I'm training.
Sure. Yeah, so the short answer is they don't provide us a mechanism to disable it, but it serves a very important purpose.
Right. Okay, thanks. That's super helpful.
Awesome. Cool. That does it for you, Missy. Was that very helpful for you?
Oh, my gosh, super helpful. You guys are lifesavers. I'm so excited.
Thanks. All right, so moving on. I don't see the next person online. So let's go ahead and continue with Mr. Tim McDonald. So you had a question, sir, and your question is, how do I hide native activities in the global search?
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't like the answer in the spreadsheet, but kind of what I was assuming. So just a quick background. We built a custom solution for activities and meetings, basically to enable the linkage to more than 10 contacts and then to custom objects. And because of such, when searching, we're seeing the custom objects, but I'm also seeing the native activities. And it's confusing as, for the end users when they're searching which one they should be accessing. So I was looking for a way to hide activities in general. It also leads into another issue that I found, that native activities, tasks, and events aren't hidden based on the org-wide defaults. So I didn't know if you guys had any ideas or suggestions or workarounds in regards to either.
That's a good question. So
sorry, Tim, can you just, you're saying that global search doesn't follow the org-wide deed?
Not for activities.
Not. Oh, yes, yeah, okay.
Let's see. So there are a couple options here for org-wide defaults for task. I know that you do have the option of private or completely opened up, but I think that has to do with editability.
Yeah, it's editability, not visibility.
Right. So you don't want them to show at all because they should be using a different record?
Correct. So for, we're using native tasks and events because we're syncing using the OmniRiva sync tool, and then we're replicating those to custom activities and meetings through a trigger and a batch process. And that's all we've exposed on the UI, on the page layouts. But kind of a background workaround, when they go to search and try to add additional relations, if you will, to that activity, they're seeing the native task.
I mean, is there a way to see, for them to click on the native task? The native task can be redirected. You could probably do that something with a visual force override on task or something like that, to redirect to the correct record that you want them to work. But again, that's custom development. And then I think the easier one way would be just somehow identify to them on that row that they should be editing or should not be editing it. If there's a visual indicator that you can apply to that attribute. Do you guys have anything else to add to that?
Guys, if you can't hide it, well, how about just pinning the activity?
Oops, Andy, we lost you a little bit.
If you can't hide the activity, pin the activities related list down to the bottom of your, and the other object to the top.
Okay, so I think what he said is to, with the global search, move activities all the way down to the bottom because, of course, you can repin how everything is.
Yeah.
That would be one option. Sorry, you were just breaking up a bit, and I think people were hearing bits and spurts. I have a 14-year-old daughter who talks like that on a regular occasion, so I think I hear it better than most.
Thanks, Nick.
But with the pinning, I think that would be an okay idea, except that it's still there. I'm wondering, for the Force.com Blue people, can the global search results page be rewritten via Visual Force? And that way you could remove activities from the Visual Force?
I'm not aware of an override for that. Typically, you get override.
Yeah, I didn't think there was an override.
No.
Back to Josh's suggestion of overriding the actual record. So if they do see them and they click on them, but at least they're rerouted to the standard, is that a viable option?
Yeah, it just requires, so if you look under the task, you see where you have the standard buttons here. You have the view and the edit. Basically, what I've done in a lot of cases where I needed to do that, I basically overwrote the page with a custom Visual Force and a custom Visual Force page and a custom controller. And then based on the attributes of that task, I redirect them to the page that they need to be on. I leverage this with native layouts as well. So if it doesn't meet the rules to be redirected to the new page or new user interface, then I just don't do anything, and it automatically just redirects the native page layout. So that's, yeah, I've done that on Leads before. It's pretty nifty. Like I said, it's an Apex page. It's probably about maybe 15 lines of code in the Apex controller, and then some test coverage to go with it.
Okay, cool. I'll give that a shot. Thanks for chiming in.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see if we have Christy on the call. Let me go back to my
You do.
Hey, Christy, how are you?
I'm good. I feel like I should have come up with a harder question, though. Mine doesn't even have an answer. Oh, now it does have an answer.
Yeah. So I'll let you read your question, and it looks like Jason's going to take this.
Sure. I actually.
More context as well.
I'm sorry.
And also provide some context as well.
Gotcha. I actually didn't test this myself, dig in too far to testing it myself yet. I had a coworker who's trying to implement this for a customer, and basically just wants to populate a cancellation fee field dependent on a percentage of revenue based on how far away the cancellation is happening. And she wasn't sure in terms of where to add the criteria, either within the actual rule or within the field update, and then what she thought she was doing with like greater than next 180 days wasn't working. So I just thought I'd get some advice.
I'm actually kind of surprised SteveMo didn't take this because it involves formulas. So I went ahead and grabbed it because I didn't know the answer to the last question. So I was typing up the answer to yours. So there's a couple different angles you can attack this from, but the basic gist of it is you'll need to calculate the difference between the cancellation date and the arrival date. Now you could either do that on the record as a formula field, or you could do it as logic within the field update itself. But doing the calculation of the cancellation minus arrival will give you a day, or a number of days I should say, that you then need to run through less than 30, 31 to 90, 90 to 180, or 180 plus. And so you could do things like nested if statements. So if days is greater than 180, populate with 25, and so on and so forth. So there's you can with only 4 buckets. It's kind of 6 one, half dozen the other. Whether you do nested if statements. So if this, then greater than 25, else. If it's between 90 to 180, then it's 60, else. So you can do ifs nested within each other, or you could do a case function if you're familiar with case functions, which would allow you to say, I just want to grab the value of this particular calculated field, or I want to do a calculation to come up with a number. And then you can do a comparison of, well, if it's between these values, then spit out this value. So you said she was trying to do that and it wasn't working. I don't suppose you have the formulas she's using handy, do you? Because it's potentially a syntax issue, that maybe a comma's in the wrong spot or something like that. And if we took a look at it, it might be a little easier to see. So I don't know if you have that handy or if you can get it, post it in the document. Maybe we follow up offline with you.
Sure, and I don't know how to post in the document either, so I'm sure I could get help with that. I have just a screenshot of the criteria that she was trying to set, and again, I've been assuming it was an issue with how she was trying to set the date criteria within the actual rule criteria as opposed to any statements within the formula.
Is she using criteria or a formula for the workflow rule?
So right now, the way she set it up, she's just using criteria, and then the actual field update is just calculate.
For the calculation you're doing, criteria can actually be trickier to work with than a formula because you've got to be real careful with the placement of your ands and your ors and your left and your right parens in your criteria construct. A nested if statement, as Jason described, is actually much cleaner because nested if statements, this is like right in their sweet spot because by design they are mutually exclusive. Once a record is evaluated and meets the criteria of the first if statement, it is culled from the herd and can never be double counted. So the one thing you have to be careful about when you're building a nested if statement that evaluates a date or a value is that you start at one end of the spectrum and then work your way down. So that, like, if you want to group your stuff by, and say, for example, in this case, date is 180 days or more, you want to make sure that your first bucket is greater than or equal to 180, and that gets the first result. Anything that is greater than or equal to 180, they get that first result. They don't even they're gone. They don't make it down into the second if statement, which would be greater than or equal to 120. And then below that, greater than or equal to 90. And you keep working your way in descending order. You can do it the other way, but again, you have to be careful because sometimes people that do stuff like that with a nested if statement, they make their stuff too inclusive. But I didn't want to step on Jason's toes. I mean, like, nested if would definitely be the way to go. I think this is like right in its sweet spot.
The other thing is if she's doing it in criteria, then I would imagine she's probably writing 4 different workflow rules. So one workflow rule if it's greater than 180 days. A separate workflow rule if it's between 90 and 180, which can be problematic where you're eating up 4 workflow rules and you have a limit of 20 per object, which if you don't need many more, that's not that big a deal. But you can actually create this entire thing with one workflow rule, use one field update that makes all the decisions for you and will populate one of the 4 values based on the decision tree that Steve just walked through. So you're only using one rule, one field update instead of 4 rules and 4 field updates.
Right. That's the way I'd go.
Okay. And it's funny because this was a good example for something I think a customer will ask someday, which is why I wanted it figured out. But she's actually trying to come up with a good example for our customer conference to show them easy workflows to set up. So that's why she was trying to use criteria. So I think the answer is just this is not a good example.
It actually would be a good example of showing
a
the
formula.
Power of using formulas within a field update. This would be a fantastic example for that.
Yeah, I think the challenge is she's not that comfortable with formulas. So
post it on answers. We'll take a crack at it and then post the actual formula out there, because this is one that comes up again and again with slightly different requirements, but it's one where the solution to something like this can be applied again and again with a little tweak here, a little tweak there, because the core question is the same. You know, if I have a number, if the number is above this, do that. If the number is above that, do this other thing again and again, all the way down in descending order. This would be a great one for the answers community because I'm sure it's going to come up again and again.
So in terms of the nested statements, you were saying the second, if you start at the top with the greater than 180, then the second statement you don't have to say between 179 and 120 because everything that already is above 180 is gone?
Exactly. This came up a while back. Somebody was doing something for school, and this I think sums it up in a nutshell. You're a teacher. You've got tests. You want to evaluate the score and assign a letter grade. Your first if statement would be if score greater than or equal to, and of course I'm making the international symbol for greater than, if score greater than or equal to 90, return A. Your next nested if statement is going to be if score greater than or equal to 80, return B. Anything that was greater or equal to 90 gets an A and is gone. The only thing left is everything from 89 or below to make it into the second bucket. When everything above at 80 or above gets a B, they're culled from the herd. Everything from 79 or above is now reevaluated for the third nested if statement. 70 or above, they get a C, down and down and down. And that's where I said, or what I meant by you do have to be careful that you start at your high point and then work down. You can go the other way, but you just have to remember that things are going to get chopped off that tree as they work their way down through the nested if statement.
Interesting. Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. So we're at the top of the hour. I do want to. It doesn't look like Jason Jones is on the call, but we're at the top of the hour. I want to thank everyone, the panelists who attended today, the people who participated, as well as the people who asked questions. This will be a bi-weekly reoccurring session, and then as we get more demand, we will continue to possibly upgrade the frequency on it. But I want to make sure that everyone knows how to submit questions. So between now and then, if you want your question to be answered on the next session, which is MVP Office Hours number 3, which will be 2 weeks from now, go ahead and either enter your question in here, or when the invite comes out, when you register, you can post your question there. In the meantime, you can also leverage other channels of the community, such as answers.salesforce.com, and that's a great way to post your question there. And if you don't get an answer on answers.questions.com, you can post a link to your question when you register for MVP Office Hours, and we'll go to your question and look at it then. So any other questions or parting comments before we end today's call?
I noticed a few other questions on the sheet. Did those people just not dial in?
Correct. Yeah, I didn't see them registered on the sheet at all.
Okay.
On the participants. So we'll ask. I'll probably reach out to them between now and the next call to ask them to attend the next scheduled call, and
sure.
We'll answer their questions when they're present. All right, guys. Thank you very much for participating and for attending today. Everyone have an awesome Friday afternoon. Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Please stand by.